Hello! In this video, we'll show you how to get started with a free hosted trial of Mirantis Container Cloud in just a few simple steps. By the end, you'll have a Kubernetes cluster running a sample application, all manageable through the Lens integrated development environment. To sign up for the free trial, head to mirantis.com/trial and click on the Get Started button. On the next page, you'll click Sign Up and enter your name and email, create a password, and specify a few details like your company and country. You can look over the software evaluation agreement, agree to that, and then click Sign Up. After you sign up, you'll need to verify your email address. Once you push the Verify Account button from the email, you will be redirected straight to the Mirantis Container Cloud hosted trial dashboard. Now you have two options. The first one is to start the hosted trial, where you will be able to use Container Cloud on hosted infrastructure. Currently, this trial is hosted on Equinix Metal, and you will get access to create one management cluster with 3 manager nodes and 3 worker nodes for 24 hours. And there's an option to try on-prem by downloading the freemium license and following the guide to install on your own infrastructure. So let's start the trial. By clicking on the Start Trial button, you will generate your personal hosted instance of Container Cloud, and you will have the credentials set up in Mirantis Container Cloud to create the management cluster. So now, when you press Launch Trial Environment, you'll enter the main interface of Mirantis Container Cloud. If you're using it for the first time, you'll see a guided tour through the UI. You can click through these tips, and they will explain some of the main concepts of Mirantis Container Cloud, such as project clusters and credentials. Let's create a cluster now. We'll name it SL Trial Demo. We have credentials set up, as I mentioned before, and I'll select not the latest but the previous version so we can show you how easy it is to upgrade later in the demo. For our provider, we can select which Equinix facility to use for our deployment. As you can see here, some of them are not available, so let's choose the one where there are machines available to deploy the cluster. We'll add 3 manager nodes and 2 worker nodes to the cluster. It's important to note that these are the minimum requirements for a cluster to deploy. So now that we have satisfied the minimum requirements, Container Cloud will provision machines at Equinix and begin to create and configure the cluster, installing the necessary software like Mirantis Secure Registry, Mirantis Container Runtime, and Stacklight. This process will take about 20 or 30 minutes, so we'll come back when the cluster is ready and continue from there. Okay, our cluster is ready, so let's check the MKE UI and Grafana for it. MKE uses a single sign-on, so we don't have to use separate credentials. You can see the 5 nodes on here. Grafana shows us some preview dashboards on the cluster state. Let's add one more worker node to take a look at a scale-up operation. While this node is creating and provisioning, we'll add our cluster into Lens and deploy an application into it. Now our cluster is added to Lens. Let's check that Lens sees it. Perfect, we have 3 manager nodes and 2 worker nodes. Let's go to the Applications tab and deploy Jenkins to the cluster. This is a standard chart, and we will keep all the parameters by default. We'll only change the Jenkins password so we can access the interface, and then we'll push the Install button. Now Lens will deploy the Helm chart with Jenkins to the cluster. You can see here that this is a standard Helm chart. We have all the data stored in persistent volumes, and Container Cloud configures the load balancer to expose the services with type load balancer, which is used by this Helm chart to expose Jenkins. As soon as the deployment is complete, we see that it's now green, it's up. Here is a public IP that Jenkins is exposed on. We'll just open to check, and we have a user password here, and yes, we see that Jenkins is up and running. It seems to be fully functional. So let's get back to Container Cloud and wait for the extra node to be added. The next and final step for this demo will be to upgrade the cluster. Okay, with the new worker node ready now, we can go back to Lens to check whether it's showing up on the nodes list. Perfect, we can see that we have 3 managers and 3 workers now. So the last step with this demo is to upgrade. As you can see, we have an icon for cluster upgrade right here under the release. So we can now initiate the cluster upgrade, which includes upgrading all of the software on the cluster, such as the container registry, MKE, Stacklight, and so forth. So we will select the version, click the button, and the upgrade will be initiated within a few seconds. Container Cloud will upgrade all the nodes one by one, keeping all the APIs and code up and running. We can check back in 15 or 20 minutes and see if Jenkins survived the upgrade. Alright, our upgrade is complete. Let's check Jenkins again, and yes, it's still working. I hope this demo was helpful. If you'd like to get started with your own free trial, please visit mirantis.com/trial. Thanks for watching.